Hey everyone, we're back again with the Board Game Spotlight, and today we're going to look at Dual Powers Revolution 1917. Now this is a political strategy game for 1 to 2 players, and it plays in about 45 minutes. So let's take it to the table and I'll tell you about it. In Dual Powers, players are going to control either the provisional government, which was the official authority of the state, or they will play as the Petrograd Soviets, which was an elected council of workers organized by the social activists. So players are going to utilize one of these two factions, and they are going to attempt to control the areas within Russia and win control of the government at the end of the game. Now the game's going to end in one of two ways. Either your victory point or control of the government is going to reach your end track of the board, or the month marker will advance all the way to October or November. And those are the two end game conditions. And then depending on if you reach victory here, obviously the player that reaches that track wins, or within here, October, November, the player who controls this on their side of the board would be declared the winner. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to set up all of these Will of the People tokens. The Will of the People is going to start with the red player, and they will control these tokens, which give them a boost of power when they are resolving objectives in those territories. You're also going to place out a token into the current blockade location, and this token will get placed on the corresponding arrow. And then you're going to place a token into the area of unrest, and that shows the current area of unrest that players can control to score either additional victory points or a bonus action. And so players are going to play a card from their hand one at a time, and when players have played 4 cards, the round will end. But before we get to that, players are going to need to select a card from their hand as their secret objective. And so each player will look at their card. Now these cards have different abilities printed on them. You have the area, number of days, the calendar advances. This is a recruit. This is a refresh action. But for the secret objective, all you need to do is look at this bottom corner, and this is going to be worth 4 victory points if you control this area at the end of the round. So this player will select that card. And then your opponent will look at their hand and they will try to see what's going on. They could double up on the area of unrest and an objective, or they could go for the current blockade location, knowing nobody can go in and out, and they could attempt to just place tokens in there and win that. Or let's just double up on the area of unrest, so they would place this card face down, and that's their secret objective. Now players will not know your opponent's secret objective unless you play your leader that lets you look at your opponent's objective, or you can try to deduce that based on where your opponents are placing their tokens and where they're moving them on the map. So after players have placed their secret objective, you'll move into the action phase. And so the action phase is where the meat of the game lies. You're going to play a card from your hand, take an action, and then pass your turn. This will go until players have played 4 cards, and then the end of the round will occur, and then you're going to rinse and repeat. Now, the calendar is going to move based on the action card that was played, and when the active player reaches the 15 or 31, they'll gain an associated bonus action. This is recruit level 1, move a token, refresh a token, and draw a card. Now refreshing a token allows you to move from the red side or the lighter side back over to the refreshed side, and so this means that these tokens won't be removed from the board, and you can use your own tokens. As long as you control the will of the people, you can use those. And that's what the refresh action does for you. The draw a card action is going to effectively increase your hand size, and there's no hand limit in the game, so having more cards in your hand is going to give you a lot more options throughout the game. And it's very, very important to have those options so that you can most effectively use your strategy. When the day marker moves to the last action space, the active player will gain control of the will of the people. And this is the way that the will of the people token moves between players. So it starts with the red player, and they really have incentive to control it, because when this marker moves through May, you put the Trotsky token into the current area of unrest. And then when it moves to August, if this token is still on the board, it's replaced with the Petrograd Soviet version of Trotsky, and the red player gains a boost of power in the government. Going into the action phase, this is where the meat of the game lies. This is where all the strategy takes place, utilizing these cards you have in your hand to most effectively control the board. So when a player, starting with the red player, they control the will of the people, so they'll go first, and they will take an action. So let's recruit a level 3 into this location, and we would then we would advance the calendar by 7 days. And then this player could recruit a level 3 into this territory, and they would advance the calendar 8 days. So we've already moved past the level 15 on this active player, so they would get a bonus action. And so they could then recruit a free level, and they'll throw one into the area of unrest just to try to maybe throw a little bit of a wrench into the other player or try to win that themselves. And here we could recruit a level 1 and advance the calendar 2 days, recruit a level 1 into this territory. Now remember, we control the will of the people, so we will get to add that to our strength. So right now it's 2 on 1. Coming back over to this player, we could play a level 3 here and advance the calendar 7 days. And then back over to this player, we could recruit a level 2 and advance the calendar 3 days. And we will retain the will of the people. And we will then get a free action, and we will draw a card into our hand. That gives us a little bit more options to play for the turn. Coming back over to this player, they could move twice. They will choose to move here and advance the calendar by 2 days. This Trotsky token would have been placed during the last calendar movement, so it gets placed into the area of unrest and further progresses the red player's initiative in that area. This player would then play their last card for the round. And let's go ahead and recruit a level 2 into that area, hoping to win the area of unrest for the next round. And then the finishing move for this player, we could move twice or recruit 1. Let's recruit 1. And then that will finish that player's turn. So after players have finished utilizing their action cards, and remember, the leaders are in your hand at all times, so you can utilize the leaders when you feel like it. And so let's talk about what the leaders are going to do for you. Each group of leaders, they have the same abilities, but there are different combat strength values for them. And so you have move the blockade token. You can move the blockade token to any other area on the board. This allows you to peek at your opponent's secret objective, and this allows you to immediately gain control of the will of the people. Now, when these are used, they are gone from the game. So you can either recruit the leader for its token, or you can use it for its ability. So you really have to be very conscious about when you use it, how you use it, and what the consequences could have if you play it too early, vice playing it too late. So after we do our action phase, we're going to move into the scoring phase. And so during the scoring phase, we're going to resolve the area of unrest first. So we add up all of the power. And so if there were a tie, the tiebreaker goes to the player who has the most tokens in the area. If there's still a tie, it goes to the player that's holding the will of the people. So we win this area, and we could choose to gain the victory points or the bonus action. We're going to take the victory points. So we'll take 2 victory points to the red side. Then we move into revealing our secret objectives. You start with the player that does not control the will of the people. So that will be this player. Reveal that, and they do control this territory, which will give them 4 victory points. So you can see the tug of war nature of this track moving back and forth between players based on what territories they're controlling and how they are going to thwart or stop their opponent from winning territories. So that would be number 2, and then we reveal ours. which is the area of unrest. We score 2 victory points, moves it back to the middle. So after all that work, it's just right there back in the middle of the track. However, we now have a board seeded with more tokens ready for the next round. Now, when an area is activated, these tokens are going to become exhausted. And so you'll flip all of the tokens that were associated in that area. And then if you don't flip them back and they're used again, they are removed from the game. Now, your personal tokens are returned to you. However, the will of the people tokens are removed from the board and you cannot return them. So you have to be very conscious, especially if you are trying to control the will of the people. So after you conclude your objectives and exhausting the tokens, you move into the next round, you draw 5 new cards, and you play it again. You continue to do this until, again, either one player moves the track all the way to their victory condition, or you move the calendar all the way to October or November. Dual Powers is a very fast-paced, quick, easy to learn, difficult to master strategy game for 2 players. If this sounds like something that was really interesting to you and you are interested to learn more about it, take a look at the description below for a link to the Kickstarter page. This has been Derek with the Board Game Spotlight, and this has been your preview of Dual Powers, Revolution 1917. We'll see you next time.